Hello, and welcome back to NLS or Nevada Legal Services Now. I am Ray Gertkin, the Directing Attorney of the Reno office. Hello.
I'm David Olshan.
And today we are going to be addressing the sort of end of the Nevada eviction moratorium, but also obviously talking about the CDC moratorium, as well as talking about Nevada's new eviction mediation program that is going to be statewide. So, why don't we go ahead and kick it off? As always, please feel free to put any questions in the chat, in the comments to the live stream, and we will answer them as we go along. But go ahead, David. As I'll just set this up as, we know at this point in time, the last governor's directive extended the Nevada eviction moratorium for non-payment of rent only until October 15th to give the state time to sort of work out the mediation program and also get the rental assistance situation sort of straightened out. In the interim, the CDC came out with a nationwide eviction moratorium. David, you want to talk about what that CDC moratorium looks like?
Sure. It basically prevents a landlord from evicting you for non-payment or no cause until the end of the year, based on the public health crisis. And what you need to do to take advantage of the moratorium is execute a declaration and provide it to your landlord before you're evicted. Obviously, again, it protects against no cause and non-payment evictions. You have several requirements. One is that you try to obtain government assistance, rental assistance. That's pretty easy because most of the assistance, especially in Clark County, is gone. The other thing is that you have a lower income for a single person that's $99,000 a year or less. For married people, it's $198,000. Most people know what their income is going to be for 2020. If there is uncertainty, you can still be eligible if you've received an economic impact statement, the stimulus payment. You have not been able to pay rent. Obviously, you're doing this because you haven't been able to pay rent because of a loss of income or medical expenses. It's basically, for most situations, you're going to be not able to pay rent because of a medical condition, the economy being as bad as it is, or medical expenses. You also have to make an effort to try to make timely payments as your budget allows. And finally, you need to attest that if you are evicted, you would become homeless or forced to live in close quarters or shared living. So generally speaking, for most people who are trying to pay the rent and have suffered as a result of the COVID crisis economically or medically, the declaration would be available to you, and you need to execute that, sign it, check off the boxes. We have a form on our website. So you should go ahead and do that because it's going to be, at this point, the best thing that you can do to try to avoid eviction based on no cause or non-payment.
So we do have a question. Does the declaration need to be notarized?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. Okay.
No. Sorry. I was saying yes. No, it does not.
Oh, okay. No, yeah. But we've in Nevada, you can do a declaration, which is the equivalent of notarization. And we've included that language in the declaration. So it is sufficient, and you don't necessarily have to get it notarized.
And so some of the common questions that we've been getting from people asking us for assistance, there are two of the qualifications that are somewhat problematic for individuals. One is that the third requirement is that you have to declare under penalty of perjury that you have not been able to pay rent. Some people have been paying rent and sacrificing other bills in order to obviously meet their rental obligations because they don't want to get evicted. But this does apply to no cause notices, not just non-payment of rent notices. So, what are we telling people who had been trying to stay current with their rent and the applicability of this to them?
Well, I think if you work this out logically, if they've been paying rent, they don't need the moratorium, they don't need the declaration because they've been paying rent. So probably this is going to occur, let's say in the month of October, when they've paid September's rent, but they can't make October's rent, or they're not going to be able to make November's rent. I think because of the close proximity, you can still use the declaration, and it should work because you're protected from non-payment eviction. And you can't pay the rent because you don't have enough money.
And the other one is, if they're current in their rent or had been trying to maintain, being current, the best efforts to, receive government assistance. And I'd say it would be along the same lines. If you're going to have a rent shortfall for the following month, then apply for rental assistance for that month. Should be enough to meet the restrictions of the declaration.
That language, best efforts, is in there. I think you have to make some effort for a reasonable expectation of government assistance, and it would be covered. Here in Nevada, there's one website that can link you up in Reno or Las Vegas, Clark County, or rural Nevada for government assistance. And if you submit an application, then that should be good enough. So, best efforts, it's not like going around, physically going around, seeing if rent is available through Help of Southern Nevada or wherever. I think you just have to use a reasonable effort to obtain government rental assistance.
And of course, as you mentioned, the Clark County assistance being gone, I do believe there's still money up north, but, it's a finite amount of money. So at some point, there will be no more rental assistance.
Right. I mean, there's limited funds, and once they run out, they run out.
All right. We talked about this applying to non-payment of rent and no cause evictions, but what are the exceptions to the moratorium?
Well, basically, you can sum it up in two different reasons for eviction: nuisance and lease violation. If the lease violation is not based on the failure to pay rent, the landlord can proceed. And if you're threatening the health or safety of other residents, you're engaging in criminal activity, you're damaging property, the landlord can also evict you.
So basically, some of the similar exceptions we'd seen to the state moratorium, where if there's cause or, other things going on, then this is not going to help.
Right. I mean, a wild party. I mean, we talked about it during the pandemic. You're not going to see it that often, but you do see it. So that would be, threatening the health and safety of other residents. If you're damaging the property, whether there's this moratorium or not, the landlord can still evict you. And I don't know, these seem to be common sense, but sometimes, there are some difficult issues.
We do have a question. How soon will funds run out for rental assistance? I apologize. I do not know the answer to that question. I'm just not sure right now where the exact status. The last information I had was based on a news article that rental assistance was still available in the north, but it really is. Hopefully, we will be able to make an announcement if it does run out, and I will try to update our website when that happens. But I do not know the answer to that question at the moment.
And these are desperate times, so. You're going to do what you can. If you can use the declaration, the CDC moratorium, you should take advantage of that. If you can use mediation, we will talk about it. You should use that. There may be help from Washington. I don't know. I don't think there's going to be help on the state or local level. But, you want to, avoid eviction as long as you can, because you never know. The CDC moratorium was out of the blue. Nobody expected it. And look how helpful it could be.
All right, so let's get into the mediation program. The rules were just published, was that yesterday or the day before?
I think it was Tuesday, the 6th. Yeah.
Tuesday. Um, and right now we are only talking about non-payment of rent evictions, although the courts can expand it if they want to. But go ahead, David. You want to explain the
All right.
mediation
Well,
program for the Nevada?
right. One thing we want to make clear, and that is we're talking about when you don't qualify for the CDC moratorium, because I think overall, even though it's being challenged in the Northern District of Georgia, it's going to be valid until the end of the year, most likely. So the CDC moratorium is much more helpful than mediation, but we will talk about mediation. Right now, you're correct, Ray. It's only with regard to a 7-day pay rent or quit. You're going to have 7. Ooh. Okay. Did you switch the slide? Sorry. But anyway, I can go. You're going to have. God. Oh, see, you're giving away our surprise ending. Anyway, you got 7 days to request mediation. This excludes weekends and holidays. If you're going to request mediation, you have to file an affidavit, and it's mediation process is at no cost to you. There is a cost to file that affidavit, but you can get a fee waiver. If you do request mediation, we're talking about 30 extra days. So if you need more time, you're going to request mediation and file that affidavit. And of course, if you do request mediation, there's no eviction until you have the mediation. Now, the courts, all the courts in the state of Nevada have to change their forms. They have to change their website. So it's very likely that you're going to get more than 30 days because the courts are not going to be prepared to make all these changes in a short period of time. It begins October 15th because the moratorium ends on the 14th. So good luck with that. Sometimes justice courts work on a sort of glacial pace. So I doubt a lot of this is going to be in place by October 15th.
And just so everybody's aware, the city of Sparks actually already has a mediation program in place. They did utilize some of the CARES money to try to get a mediation program up and running now. So if you do live in the city of Sparks and want to take advantage of that, that is separate from this at the moment. And you can look for the city of Sparks mediation program. All right. You want to talk about, when this does get into place,
All right.
what would be required to request mediation?
So this is, this requires, again, the court to change the forms and to get this information out and also update their websites if they have it. But we also have a form, and Ray, is that available on our website?
It is not actually available on our website yet. We will try to get that posted directly after this presentation. I just need to finalize it. I think you said you wanted to talk about it, but okay. We will have it in place today.
Right, but as long as it's up by the 15th.
Yes, yeah, it will be. It should be finalized fairly quickly.
Oh God. You just
advanced. Did I advance again?
Yeah.
It's doing it on its own. I apologize.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, the point is you need to include things in this affidavit to request mediation, whether you want to do it by phone, in person. Of course, if the court's not open, that's not going to be possible, or video. You have to name yourself and anyone who's going to be participating in the mediation, along with contact information. If they can't contact you, that's going to be a problem. So provide reliable contact information. You also have to, in your affidavit, tell the court whether you've applied for rental assistance or executed a payment plan. And of course, your 7-day notice has to contain this information. But like I said before, it's probably not going to be there. So if you want a form, we're going to have it available on our website that includes all this information. Okay, so if you request mediation, then the court takes over. They send out notice when the landlord files a complaint. If the landlord doesn't follow up by filing a complaint or going along with the mediation, then you can't be evicted. So that's another reason. The landlord has to go through this. And if the landlord doesn't, then you're not going to be evicted for non-payment of rent. And of course, the mediation has to be within 30 days, but because this is a new program and they're probably not ready, it may take a little bit longer.
Okay, sorry, I hopefully fixed my microphone issue, so hopefully people can hear me now. I do apologize for that. In terms of, I just want to go back. We have a question regarding the moratorium not helping people who have tried to stay current on their rent. As we said, if you're facing a non-payment issue, say next month or in October, you've been trying to maintain your rent, but do have a financial hardship based on the coronavirus, and you can't remain current on your rent, then yes, we do believe that the CDC moratorium should protect you. If it's within a reasonable time where you're just saying, I've been, harmed and therefore can't pay rent moving forward. If though you cannot certify all of those requirements on the CDC declaration, then no, it does not protect you. So just do keep that in mind. If you've been staying current on your rent, if your landlord can issue you a 30-day notice, and you can't use the CDC moratorium, other than the new mediation program, which we are encouraging people to request mediation. It does give you time, at probably about 30 days, depending on how quickly courts are going to be scheduling these things. That is for non-payment of rent only at the moment, though. So it is going to be difficult if you've been maintaining payments on your rent. There isn't really anything out there that's currently helpful.
And I think, a clever landlord right now would issue, if there's no CDC moratorium, would issue a 30-day, not a 7-day. And so that would get around mediation. And, if the factors of the requirements of the CDC declaration aren't met, then the landlord would be able to proceed. But, also, if you get a 30-day, I think you can issue that CDC declaration and still qualify for the protection.
Yes, as long as you can certify, truthfully all of the requirements.
Right.
And as far as the mediation rules, we will, as I said, hopefully by the end of today, if not immediately after this presentation, have a form tenant's declaration for non-payment of rent, which has the mediation request in it. And already the CDC moratorium declaration is on our website as well. So we will have that information posted hopefully today, but that would be in effect after the potentially after the Nevada moratorium on non-payment of rent evictions ends on the 15th. Okay. So now we're going to talk a little bit about how sort of to act within the the mediation context. David, I think you have some advice to people in terms of what can happen in the mediation itself.
Well, I just think there's a disconnect between the people who made the rules and what actually happens. There's a provision in the mediation rules to require rent assistants or people from the Employment Security Division to attend the mediation to talk about when their unemployment is going to be issued or the rent assistance. And of course, the Employment Security Division, if they could tell you when the unemployment is going to be delivered to you, sent to you through your electronic benefit card, there wouldn't be all these lawsuits. So I think if you're waiting for a payoff either through unemployment or rent assistance, that's going to be very difficult to use in a mediation. Still, if you got a letter, if you got notice that you're eligible, you should produce that. I think when you're doing mediation, you want to make sure that both sides are reasonably satisfied. So if you're going to intend to pay rent and the landlord says, how are you going to do that? Rent assistance or unemployment could help. I think there's two approaches when you go into mediation, whether you just want more time or whether you're going to try to pay the landlord off. Keep in mind that all these delays, these moratoriums, mediation, whatever, it doesn't absolve you of the requirement to pay rent. So even if you are evicted, even if you move out, you're still going to owe that money, and you could get a judgment against you. And right when you sort of get a job or whatever, improve your life, you could be socked with a judgment and somebody garnishing your wages. So it's important to at least consider that, the rent has to be paid at some point.
And just to make clear, the CDC moratorium definitely does not affect any obligation you have under the lease, which includes late fees. So, late fees still cannot be charged for the initial period of Directives 8 and 25 from that March through September for most landlord-tenant issues. But as of September 1st, essentially late fees can be charged again. There has been no continuation of the prohibition on late fees, and the CDC moratorium does not protect against that either.
I mean, yeah, and it's just it's a monumental problem here in Nevada and across the nation. I think mediators would understand that. I think you also should think creatively when you go into the mediation. I can't pay the rent, but I can do some work in exchange for rent. It's if that's something you want to do, you might want to suggest that. I just would think about all possible resources. Maybe there's a relative who might be able to give you some money to get by, but whatever, you haven't talked to them in a while. I mean, these are all, I'm speaking from personal experience, but these are all ways that all sort of possible solutions that you should think about when you go into mediation.
Okay, we do have a question about the language that's required to be on the notices. I did just pull up the mediation rules themselves. I don't know, David, if you want me to put those up on the screen or if you can talk to what required language is to be on the notices themselves.
You should probably put it up on the screen.
All right, let me see if I can do that. Let me find it. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong mediation, wrong rules. That was the.
Well, I mean.
Here we go.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, you could just go back to the previous slide, I think. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
No, you went, that's landlord.
There. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the notice that is required to be on the landlord notice. So the availability of a mediation program, what government-sponsored rental programs are available, and that tenants can file electronically if that is an option in their community. Then they have to notify tenants that no, I think that's basically it, right?
Right. I mean, it's in the notice. There's information also on the court's website or in the notice itself, the availability of mediation and rent assistance.
And that is also included in the Justice Court website.
It's supposed to be, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let me go back to the slideshow if I can figure out how to do that. There we go. Okay. So it is important to remember tenants requesting mediation, that if you request mediation and then don't show up, the eviction is going to go forward. So it is important that you provide, one of the things you do have to provide, obviously, as David said, is contact information. So make sure you're paying attention because the mediator will contact you to schedule the mediation when you request it. That probably will be by email. So if you provide an email address, you do need to check your email. But if you don't show up for mediation, then you will get evicted. So it is important to go. And then obviously if the landlord doesn't show up, then the eviction can't go forward.
Right. And then if you do work something out during the mediation and don't comply, the landlord can enforce the agreement. I don't know. I mean, I would think that most of these agreements are not going to be based on hope and aspiration. They're going to be based on sort of real facts. But yes, if you fail to make a payment, whatever, the court can enforce it, and there's no stays allowed. So, I mean, I really wouldn't worry about the stay because it's been delayed 30 days anyway. But, you know, those are some of the things that the landlord can do. I guess the tenant can do it as well. But I don't, you know, if the landlord's not going to accept your money, then I don't really know why you would try to enforce that.
All right, but that's it. Sorry. I think, David, I kept your initial recording in there accidentally.
Can you get out of it?
So let's just try to see if we can get to the last. Nope. I'll just go to the last slide here. How about that? All right. If you are facing eviction, please feel free to give us a call. These are our toll-free numbers, both north and south. You can go ahead and reach us at either number. The one on top, just so you know, is for Southern Nevada. The second one is for Northern Nevada. But please feel free if you have any lingering questions that you would like to ask us or any requests for future live streams, please let us know. But hopefully we'll get, like I said, everything posted on our website, which is www.nlslaw.net. And if you are in the city of Sparks, just I don't know if my microphone was low. City of Sparks does already have a mediation program in place. It is voluntary, but you know, before the actual statewide mediation program gets enacted, you can still utilize that process. But we'll stay on for a little bit longer if anybody has any questions. I'm not seeing any additional questions in the comments. You know, hopefully if we do get any information about the government assistance, the rent programs, I will also try to post that. But right now, sort of the status is maybe not available in the south, but still should have some money available in the north.
Right, I'll try to do something on the COVID updates too if I see anything.
But thank you guys so much for attending, and thank you for hanging out with us for the last 30 minutes. We will try to, if there are any additional updates or changes to any of the moratoriums, obviously we will do another one of these to make sure that people are aware, and I'm sure David will update you guys in the COVID updates in the mornings. And I will try to keep the website as updated as I can. And as I said, there are already some forms up there, but I will get those updated for the mediation request, hopefully by today, but certainly before the 15th. But if that's it, then thank you, David.
Thank you, Ray.
And thank you for the rest of you, and have a great rest of your day.
Cut.
Sorry. Oh, we just got a question. Sorry. Is there a possibility of more funding? That would be for the federal government to decide. So no updates on that.
Try to predict that. Oh, that's tough.
I don't know why I can't. Anyway, all right. Bye.
Bye.